I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. Today is Tuesday, May 27th, and the energies in the day adds up and reduced to number 5 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. When the number 5 is present, this is a day that reflects change that will come in ways that we didn't expect it. And the reason why the change will come in ways that we didn't expect it, because at the time of the change, we were busy focused on something else. So it seems as if it caught us off guard. The number 5 is also a restless energy. And for me, the number 5 is restless because the number 5 could be afraid of silence. It could be afraid of silence in the sense that we are afraid of what we will hear when we're being silent. And I think the reason why we would be afraid of what we're hearing or what we would hear in the silence is, through marketing in movies or other ways, we've been conditioned to believe that if we're having an experience that others can't relate to, then you're crazy. So the thought of hearing something that others can't hear is terrifying because of what it will mean about you that you had that experience. So whenever the number 5 is present, it could bring about this restless nature within some of us where we find it hard to be still. It could bring about a day where some of us just completely lost control of the day. We started out the day with intentions to get certain things done. We maybe even wrote it out on our calendar that this is what needs to happen today. But some way, somehow, maybe the client was late and then this happened and that happened. And before you know it, the whole day felt like an ish show. And if that was the case, then I feel like that was a day that flowed just the way it was supposed to. But in some cases, we can take control. And I do so by, being intentional on a day like this. And I'm intentional on a day like this where I'll get up and I'll make sure I execute and give my attention to everything that is important and needs to get done that day, first thing waking up. Because the more you put things off on a day like today is the more they won't get done. Because again, this is the day where you left the house and you had full intentions on getting to work. Maybe you left the house early, but for some reason you thought you had time to stop there and stop here and do all this other stuff. And before you know it, you're rushing, trying to get to work, and you're at work late when you got up really early that day. Or you got up with the intentions to go and help your grandmother move some things around. And on the way there, you noticed that the neighbor needed help. So you stop and you help them, and you stop and you did that over there, and you stop and you did that over there. And before you know it, the day is over and it just did not go as planned. Also the kind of day where, say you were on a fast or you made up your mind that you were through engaging with and consuming certain things. Today could be the day that you break it. And I feel like the breaking comes from this restless energy. This energy of not wanting to be still, not wanting to feel whatever the day has to bring, because something about being still just feels powerless. So it could feel like our power today comes from being on the move, doing something just for the sake of doing it. And that's where some of us will find ourselves kind of like, retracing our steps and trying to figure out where did we go wrong today. But like I said, on a day like today, get up and focus on the things that are important. But all at the same time, too, go with the flow when it comes to a day like this. Because a day like this is that glitch in the matrix. It's the day where the sudden thing happens. But this thing is the thing that needed to happen so that the next thing can happen, the next thing can happen. And before you know it, you're making a decision that sets you free. And you would have never been in the position to make that decision if that sudden thing didn't happen. Where I think of an example that crosses my mind. I think of a person being a part of a friend group. And say you've been a part of this friend group and you guys have known each other your whole life, but it just doesn't feel genuine. Everybody just kind of tolerates each other, maybe because everyone uses each other for whatever reason or the next. And this day that you're hanging with the friends, maybe, it's a 5-day, and something comes up and you speak your truth in a thing and it creates this big blow up. And something about the blow up just doesn't sit right with you, where you guys had disagreements many times before, but this time, this one hit different. And from it hitting different, you're sitting with some things, you're reflecting on some things. And before you know it, something becomes clear to you around the friendship dynamic. And then boom, you come to the realization that this connection has ran its course. Like, because we've known each other since elementary school is kind of the only reason why we tolerate each other, and then the perks that come with it. But we're friends, but can we really say we're really, really genuine friends? It's like that kind of vibe where it's like the sudden and unexpected thing happened and it kind of caught you off guard when it happened. And in the moment, it might feel really uncomfortable, but it created major change. And I feel like today could be that day, where today could be that day that something happens at work and the thing happens at work and it kind of felt like it came out of nowhere. It came out of left field, or something happens in a conversation with a friend or a loved one or something. But the thing feel like it came out of nowhere. Or in a positive note, maybe say someone is in a relationship and they're having a conversation and something happens out of nowhere and, leaves one person really reflecting on what happened. Only later, to come to the realization that, wow, this is my other person and I want to take a step further and engage this person. Or if that sudden thing didn't happen, they wouldn't have gotten a glimpse of the partner the way they glimpsed them. And from seeing them in that way, it's like, yeah, this is my person. It could go either way, or it could just be, a sudden and unexpected event happens and you meet someone amazing. You make a powerful connection, or like I said, some could separate from a connection. Something happens at work and the person comes to the realization that, I don't want to do this anymore. I think of this person on Instagram that I've been checking out, and this person found out that they have some spinal issue happening. I don't know if it could take their life soon or what it is, but they found out that they have this major spinal situation going on. And randomly one day, this person made a video in their car, not realizing that they got their work uniform on. And they're talking about their spinal situation and talking about how they hate their job. And ideally, their goal is to buy a ship and sail around the world and whatnot. So randomly, they made the video. And the job, of course, finds out about the video because the video went viral. And the person got fired from their job. But that was the best thing that could have happened to this person, because they end up getting that boat, and them and their cat is now sailing and they're sharing their journey and people are supporting it. And I love seeing this person and their cat, because it's like, damn, this person took a bet on themselves. They took a chance on themselves. And maybe it took them realizing that they didn't have a lot of time left to stop wasting time. But I say all that to say, yeah, the number 5 energy is a powerful energy. We experience that sudden and unexpected change. And if we're in alignment, it opens up doors. And the day is the 27th. The number 2 is a nurturing, caring energy. The number 7 is deep, it's introspective, it's reflective. And 2 plus 7 is 9. So something does come to an end today, along with the sudden and unexpected change. Or something comes to an end and it seemed like it was sudden and unexpected, but things are aligning the way they're meant to. But with the day being the 27th, the number 2 is intuitive. It just has this gut feeling. The number 7 knows. And the day adding up and reducing to the number 5 vibration, the number 5 is telepathic. So today's energy could reflect some kind of ending or sudden change, but it comes in with some kind of powerful psychic intuitive knowing, some kind of answer, some kind of clarity around something. I feel like when it comes to today's energy, something could come about that feels so freeing, or something could create this domino effect, and the first domino falls today. And by the time all the dominoes have fallen, one has set themselves free. And the way one set themselves free, it's like you never imagined this was gonna happen. Like I mentioned with the group of friends, I imagine the group of friends, they're hanging out, they're having a really good day, everybody is chit-chatting and having a good time, or so it seems. And then maybe something is brought up and one speaks on it, and what one says triggers the other, and boom, there's a blow up. And it's like, damn, things went from one extreme to the next. But really, that thing wasn't sudden and unexpected. It's just everybody in the group that day was distracted by the good time that they're having in that moment. But the insecurities and the triggers and the other things, they've been there. You know, all the reasons why the connection hasn't been authentic and hasn't been its best, they've been there. But in the moment, everybody was distracted on the perceived good time. And then boom, things blow up. But eventually, you know, it led to people end up freeing themselves from a situation that people once felt bounded to for all the wrong reasons. The spirit guidance today is the Cobra. And I like the Cobra coming out in the upright position. For me, when I look at the Cobra, my attention always goes to shedding skin. But the red in the background brings me to the root chakra. And for me, when I think of the root chakra, I think of fear, how the root chakra, when operating in a lower frequency, can reflect a lot of fear within our body. So much fear to where we never build the root that is necessary to start anything. We never allow ourselves to be brave enough to bet on ourselves and take a chance with anything. So that's one thing coming from the Cobra energy. And then my attention also goes to the Cobra shedding skin. When I think of the Cobra shedding skin, I feel like as I said that just now, it just activated some dream that I had that I didn't remember that I had. But anyways, with the Cobra shedding skin, I think of how, say, the skin reminds me of clothing. When I think of clothing, I think of, say, a person being on one career path and the way they present themselves, the way people see them, or even the uniform that they wear, their presentation on that path, and then deciding to move into something different. And it's time to shed skin because you're no longer that person anymore. So you're not going to need to present yourself in that way anymore. And with the Cobra coming out in the upright position, it brings me to being able to shed skin, being able to leave something behind, being able to leave that version of you behind. I think of like something coming to an end and there's this feeling of sudden and unexpected change. But with the feeling of sudden and unexpected change, it was just an opportunity to move away from, you know, an outdated way of being, thinking, or living. And now it's time to move into this new world. And within this new world, you're not going to need a lot of the things that you thought were important in your old world. And you have to be willing and brave enough to leave some things behind. So with the Cobra energy coming out, it brings me to shedding skin, being able to leave some things behind. The moon is in Gemini today. And the moon was in Gemini yesterday also. It was a new moon in Gemini, but I didn't really touch on that because, you know, of course, I already put out a new moon in Gemini video. But the moon is in Gemini today, so our inner world is in a place where we're nurtured at the thought of communication, connection, and also familiarity, because Gemini is an energy that deals with the people and the things that are familiar. So we're nurtured at that. We're also nurtured at our identity, who we identify as. But most important, communication and connection is something big with the moon in Gemini. And today is Tuesday. Tuesday is ruled by Mars energy, and Mars in Leo is positively speaking to moon in Gemini. Mars is our motivation, what motivates us to take action. And in Leo, we're motivated by being seen, shining, our inner child, self-expression. With it's positively speaking to the moon in Gemini, it brings me to a social aspect of today, connecting and getting together with others, And Mars in Leo also squares Uranus in Taurus. So with Uranian energy brings me to innovation, and the future. And it brings me to major changes happening within our financial stability, security, around our food, just around the earthly realms and everything that once felt like a form of stability or security, and how those things are radicalizing and changing in a major way. And the changes that are happening within our foundation feels like they're restricting our ability to take action and go after things that makes the inner child feel seen. So there is a conflict today when it comes to being bold where something is concerned. But like I mentioned, there is this strong aspect on being social and connecting. And the social and connective part of today brings me to this feeling of being supported or feeling supported or inspired by others to do that thing that we want to do, that thing that speaks to our inner child. I like that Mercury conjunct the sun in Gemini is positively speaking to Pluto in Aquarius, and Pluto is in retrograde, and that's also speaking positively to Neptune conjunct Saturn and Venus. So I do love the social aspects of today. Something about the social aspects of today feels really positive. Also too, with today's energy, it feels as if, like, I think of how some of us want to have certain experiences, want to create a certain world for ourselves. And it feels like inspiration is coming from our community or certain people that we're associating ourselves with. And that might be what brings in the sudden and unexpected change today, where we are exposed to certain things or inspired in a certain way. And from that inspiration, it changes something in our mindset. And from that change in mindset, all of a sudden, you know, the world around us, the universe starts to conspire. And from the universe conspiring, it might look like, you know, sudden and unexpected change or random drama or the sudden thing that one didn't expect. But like I said, it'll first start off like one domino falling and feeling like this random, unexpected, unwanted event. But when it's all said and done, one will realize that, wow, like, I actually feel free from the outcome of what felt like something sudden and unexpected. Let's pause for a bit. I am proud of the services that I offer and excited to tell you about them. If it would be your first time booking with me, then I recommend the natal chart and numerology awareness coaching session. For a while, that was the only service I offered, along with the 30 minutes tarot reading, which is still available if you're interested. I noticed a pattern. At the end of the natal chart and numerology coaching sessions, some of you would ask me for a follow-up service options for additional clarity and guidance to assist you with whatever you're going through at the moment. I kept saying, I'll look into it. I don't know why it took me so long. Finally, I have created that option along with the service option to book a solar return chart reading for those of you who are strategic and like to plan ahead. Everything you need to know is within the description box below. Let's get back into the video. And we have the Hermit coming out as the tarot. And with the Hermit energy, the Hermit brings introspection, just like the 7 in the day. The day is the 27th. There's this need for reflection today. There's this need to understand something deeper today. And also too, there's this need for something to come to an end. And also with the 27, 2 plus 7 is 9. And I mentioned how, you know, the number 9 can reflect endings, but the number 9 could also reflect being passive. It could also reflect going along to get along, or maybe it could reflect surrendering. So maybe when it comes to today's energy, there's this strong need to surrender, go within, understand something deeper as the sudden changes are happening, or maybe the change happens and there's this need to understand this change that just happened. But the Hermit and the Cobra energy, the Hermit brings me to introspection, going within, like the number 7 within the day. And the Cobra brings me to being fearless and shedding skin, being okay to leave certain things behind. It was a pleasure sharing this message with you, and I would love to hear from you. And you could do that by dropping me a blue heart in the comment box below. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.